Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise, and we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Hello dear viewer, dear listener, welcome to yet another exciting episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. I'm your host, Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. As always, I bring impactful information, and today we're going to talk about all things e-commerce, and we're going to talk to an entrepreneur who's steeped in this area, and my guest is Mr. Mbusi Mbagwisanyi. Welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you were to introduce yourself, what would you say to the listener in terms of your professional background and what you do?
Okay. My name is Mbusi Mbagwisanyi, and I did a course on IT, Computer Systems Engineering, which is the one that actually led me into e-commerce. And I ventured into e-commerce officially in January, and well, we've been doing pretty well since we started.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The E in e-commerce stands for what? Electronic commerce.
Electronic commerce.
Does that mean most of the things happen electronically?
Yes, sir. It means what happens is goods or services are exchanged online. Online may be over the internet. Online may be things like Orange Money. Nowadays, it's online. Orange Money, your MyZaga, those electronic payments. We can also put them into e-commerce as well.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And in terms of your company, what specific services have you positioned yourselves to do?
Okay, in my company, what we do is we provide goods ranging from your chips fryer, the ones that are used by vendors normally on the streets, to cook chips and rations and all the sorts, to your big machines, your big machinery, like water purifying machines, toilet paper maker machines, all those things. Our focus is mainly on people who want to build their own businesses or who want to generate their own income.
Okay.
Yes, but we're not limited to that. We also have consumer goods as well that we offer, like your electronic devices, iPhones, your cameras, basically anything that anyone can think of.
What really inspired you to start your own e-commerce business?
Okay, what happened is during the time I was a student, I felt like I needed to do something else besides just doing school.
You're a student where?
At BATSWANA Accountancy College.
Okay.
Yes, sir, where I did my degree in Computer Systems Engineering.
Yes.
So I felt the need of having an extra income besides just going to school and getting an allowance. So I tried a couple of things. I tried doing my own social network, but it needed a whole lot of work. Researched online what can be done, what sort of business I can start. And I did do a small business whereby I was buying and selling phones. I would purchase them through eBay, and my sister who stays in USA would then ship them to me, and then I'll sell them. That went on for about a year. Then I stopped, and then I started working. And from then on...
What do you mean working?
Working as an employee at BAC.
Okay.
College.
Okay,
Yes,
that
sir.
was where you did your first job.
Yes, sir.
Just before we leave that, at that point, speaking to an entrepreneur or a young student,
Yes, sir.
how important is it to have your own side hustle or to find a way of creating additional streams of income?
Yes, sir. Well, I think as a person, you need to have something extra on the side, because in all the people that I've met with, a salary is never enough. That's what they always say. Like, I need to have an extra income to the point whereby you don't have to budget or save for you to create an activity. such as going on a vacation. I've seen people saying, okay, no, I'm saving from January to December to go on a vacation. And that is a sign that you actually are not making enough for you to enjoy yourself, to enjoy your life. So having an extra income is actually important. So
I've said to some of my mentees that you have 24 hours in a day.
Yes, sir.
If you're giving 8 hours to your employer and you're spending 8 hours sleeping, you have 8 extra hours.
Exactly.
To find a hustle, to do something, and to increase your ability to generate income. So that was a very good move. It certainly seemed to have worked for you.
Yes, sir.
Now, why did you decide to venture specifically into e-commerce itself? Now let's narrow it down to e-commerce.
Okay, the reason why I ventured into e-commerce was that I could start it and run it while doing something else. Like you're saying, running 8 hours of the day, you're not doing anything. And basically that time that you're not doing anything is at night. So I needed something that I could basically run during my free time, which is at night. And I fortunately ran into e-commerce. So I started it, and I fell in love with it, mainly because you just interact with the customer without even seeing them. And they would purchase, and then you do the whole transaction. So that really impressed me to say, oh, so these things that happen outside in the overseas, they can actually happen here. So I ventured into it more, and now we're running officially and things are going well.
Okay, does that mean you would have your customers all over Southern Africa, SADC, and regionally, or are your customers confined to Botswana?
Well, right now, our customer base is confined in Botswana because of the COVID. We have plans to branch out into South Africa and Zimbabwe. But right now, the main thing that is stopping us is the COVID, because we can't actually go to other countries. The borders are closed. So that is one thing.
You can communicate electronically, can't you?
That is one thing.
Yes,
we can communicate electronically, but for us to deliver the goods now, making sure that we know that the logistics are actually perfected is where the challenge is.
So you cannot really eliminate the human touch, the face-to-face contact.
You
can minimize it, but you can't eliminate it.
You can't eliminate it 100%. That's impossible. Yes, sir.
Especially when you establish relationships at the beginning.
Yes, sir.
I would imagine. All right. Can we just go into another point, which is the Batswana themselves?
Yes, sir.
People, the average customer. How have Batswana responded to e-commerce? Are you able to quantify their response?
Quantifying is not really, I can't really say, but I would say the response is quite fair. I've seen circumstances though whereby other customers, they would want to come to the office, and have a look around to see, okay, is this office really real? And they'll be questioning, hey, what's your name? Where do you come from? What's that guy? And you can actually see that, okay, this person is trying to verify that you actually exist, and that you won't cheat them when you transact with them. But in most cases, when a customer comes, they actually see that, okay, no, this is a real business that is going on. And we also show them evidence of our past transactions and the customers that we've actually transacted with. And eventually they do come forth.
Okay. Is there a specific niche in terms of goods and services that you are focused on? Or is it anything and everything?
Initially, we started focusing on income generating goods, like your heat press machines, your vinyl cutters, the
vinyl cutters.
Yeah, vinyl cutters for making t-shirts, and your water purifying machines, your key cutting machines. And the response was quite good. It actually showed me that Batswana are willing to get into business. They want to get into business. And we've actually helped YDF funded youth, also CEDA funded Batswana as well. And
some people may not know what YDF is all about. Maybe you should explain quickly for the benefit of the viewer.
Okay, YDF is a government organization that stands for Youth Development Fund, whereby youth are funded to create their own businesses. So we come in there to source the particular machines that our client actually wants, and then YDF pays us for that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How do you guard against getting yourselves into trouble or getting, I don't want to say cheated, but not really getting exactly the thing that you're looking for,
Yes, sir.
especially when dealing with the international suppliers? I assume, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes, sir.
that most of your suppliers are based in China.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Most of our suppliers are based in China. And what we do is that we have somebody in China that actually verifies the suppliers that we have. And over the course of our time running, we've actually established like suppliers that we now work with fully. And we've actually mastered a way of now sourcing suppliers. So at first it was challenging. I mean, a start is always challenging, but we managed, and we have a database of suppliers that we work with. And sometimes you find that if a MOTSWANA here transacts with a supplier that side, that supplier would actually ask us to deliver the goods on their behalf in terms of the logistics part of our business. Yes,
So what is the job of your contact in China? What do they do to protect your interests?
Okay, what they do is that, well, when we purchase these goods, first of all, there's a warranty. Now, with that warranty, we have someone who is there to make sure that that warranty is valid, who is there to intermediate between us and the supplier. Because, I mean, we're here and there in China, so you can't really say you've managed how you solve issues with the supplier. So we have someone on that side who does everything for us on our behalf.
Okay. And is language a barrier?
Here and there. When language is a barrier, we engage someone who knows how to transact in Chinese, and I mean, it always turns out to be okay because we have someone that does that for us.
You would not be an entrepreneur if you did not encounter challenges.
Yes, sir.
So let me ask you, what significant challenges have you had in establishing this business and maintaining your momentum in this business?
Okay, the first challenge that we had, I mean, was because of our growth. We had to learn how to record keep. We had to learn how to communicate. That is even something that we're still trying to perfect, communicating with our customers throughout the whole process of sourcing the goods.
Yeah.
We have a challenge of managing the logistics. Logistics is the most challenging part because, I mean, you have to get the goods from the supplier to the warehouse. From the warehouse, you have to put them in a container. After the container, I mean, they come to Botswana through Durban. And when they get to Durban, at the Durban port, there's just a huge challenge because there's so many containers there, and you know it's the center of receiving imports and exports. So it takes a long time for the goods to actually arrive, and that is mostly because of the Durban port. So you find that customers, it's very hard for them to understand because on their side, they just know that they've paid and they want their goods delivered. So that's the challenge that we mostly face in our business. But we do try to explain, we provide evidence of the letters that are written, explaining what is happening so that they as well also understand that, okay, no, these people are not trying to cheat me or they're lying. Yes.
Tell me, you talked about the Durban port being a source of a congestion there. Is there any effort to maybe reposition ourselves to other ports like Walvis Bay and other points of entry in Southern Africa?
Yes, sir. The challenge is that, or the thing about it is that Durban port is the only one with a railway line because we bring our goods through the railway. With Walvis Bay, there's no railway line. So you can only bring your goods by truck, which is very, very costly. Right? Because in our business, we try to minimize
cost.
Yeah, minimize cost and deliver very reasonable prices to the customers because we want to also have Botswana build their own businesses. And yes, and we try to make sure that our pricing is very reasonable so that they can afford these machineries and everything.
So you're telling me until and unless the government puts a railway line, we will always have to deal with the Durban congestion problem.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. Let's move on to another important item to discuss.
Yes, sir.
You talked about challenges associated with growth.
Yes, sir.
How has your business grown since you started? And is there plans for future expansion?
Yes, sir. When we started in an office, my cousin's office. She runs a business called White Label. So we were renting
Called
White Label, the perfume business. So we were renting like a small office in her warehouse, and I mean, I think within 3 months, then we left because the growth was tremendous. We were generating enough income, and then we moved into Morojo News, just here, Morojo News in CBD.
Okay.
And we've been there ever since, and the growth is just tremendous. I mean, Botswana is really supporting our business, and we just love the fact that we're also helping them to build their businesses as well. And sometimes we even source their services as well, because we want to support each other. Yeah.
So in terms of future plans for growth?
Our future plans for growth is going cross-border, going international. Yes. Right now, the only thing limiting us is the borders being closed. But as soon as they open, we are going to establish a branch initially in South Africa and Zimbabwe, and then from then on, whichever economically supportive country we'll then move into as well.
Okay. I happen to know that you've been affected by COVID.
Yes, sir.
As your landlord. It's something that we talk about.
Yes,
We've
sir.
similarly been affected
Yes, sir.
by COVID. What COVID mitigation strategies have you put in place, given that there's not a lot we can do about it?
Yes, sir. The one thing that I've learned is not to put your eggs in one basket. Yes, because you find that another business may be affected by COVID, and you need another one to actually sort of sustain it in the meantime. So having multiple businesses actually helps in that regard, because I mean, like you're saying, if it wasn't for this other business that I have, I think I would have had a problem. I would have had a major problem. But because of this other business, I mean, it has helped me to sustain me and my family.
Okay. What systems have you put in place in order to run the business smoothly? I suppose here we might be talking about automation. We might be talking about computerization. Is there anything you've done?
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to give credit to my team. I normally go through every decision with them. Even with this interview, they helped me prepare for the interview. I didn't even, prepare for it on my own. I believe in teamwork, because with team, when you get a lot of people suggesting this and that, then you come with a solid decision, you move forward, and in agreement as well. So the main thing is teamwork. The systems of teamwork, having regular meetings, communicating, and knowing what is going on. Because at times you find that there's a lot of activity happening in the business, and there's always different perspectives towards each person. So it's always important to have meetings and engage and see how to make it better. We always try to look through our records. Like, we monitor the performance each and every month. Have the sales gone down? Okay, what are customers inquiring about? Such things, so that we can better our businesses and place systems that can actually work for our customers.
I've heard people in your industry talking a lot about a thing called LOC, letter of credit, and so on and so forth.
Yes, sir.
What role does that system play in your business, and what do people do to source such a letter? First, explain what it is and how it works and how you source it.
Okay. Well, a letter of credit, I mean, it's whereby now it's sort of like a promise to say that, okay, fine, more like a purchase order. I think people understand maybe purchase order better. It's like it's a mid-level agreement normally done by banks, whereby they're the intermediary to make sure that once a transaction or a service or goods are provided, then the transaction or payment or whatever can be effected. So in normal cases, we have someone that does that for us, someone in China that makes sure that, okay, fine, these people here, they're valid and such things like that.
What are the requirements to secure a valid LOC?
Well, you'd have to be you'd have to provide the papers that you're actually an official running businesses. I mean, your track record. I mean, how you're performing and all the likes. Especially for people like us that are not yet known. I mean, they really dig deep to see, okay, fine, is this person really performing like they're saying? So normally company documents that show the performance of the business is the main important thing in the line of credit.
Do they even require sometimes cash to be set aside to protect the transaction?
Yes, they do. They do.
Okay.
They normally want a deposit to make sure that yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, how important is research in your line of business? I've heard people talk about R&D, which stands for research and development.
Yes, sir.
How important is it in your line of work?
Well, in e-commerce, it's very, very important because, I mean, you're meeting with people that you've never done before, and you ventured into a new business model that hasn't really been fully understood yet. Because number one, I mean, it's fairly new, and number two, it's always growing. It's always bringing in new things. So researching and developing new ways of doing business is actually important, because if you don't research, you find that a new way of making a transaction, a new way of interacting with your suppliers or your customers is actually brought in, and you don't even know about it because you haven't done your research. Ways to secure your business, all the likes, because in e-commerce, I mean, security is very important. So if you don't read or research about the latest things that have been brought in, what is currently happening in IT or e-commerce, you actually fall behind. And it's very easy to fall behind because new things are brought in every month. It's just like iPhones. iPhones are brought in every year.
What do you mean new things are brought in every month? New ways of
yes.
Of conducting business?
Yes, sir. New ways of conducting business, such as online payments, many variety of electronic developments.
I see that there are two juggernauts in this area, two big giants, namely Amazon
Yes, sir.
and Alibaba.
Yes, sir.
I've heard people complain that these guys have suffocated the hell out of the small man or the middleman.
Yes, sir.
Are you still able to pick some few crumbs in this business despite the dominance of these two giants?
Well, yes, we actually do. I mean, our business does well, and that is because we are building. We're trying to actually establish our own African Alibaba or African Amazon, whereby we establish each and every office in every major country so that people can be more comfortable. I think the reason why in Botswana people are more comfortable buying from us is that we are actually here. They can come to the office and actually see us and shout at us if they want to, or bring in lawyers if they want to. But with cases such as Amazon or Alibaba, I mean, your case can drag it for years and you can't even do anything about it because they're all the way there. But us, we're all the way here. I mean,
so your advantage is that you are locally present?
Yes, sir. We're trying to bring in a competitive edge of being locally available.
Okay. But you don't work with those two giants?
We actually do. In some cases whereby a customer can tell us, okay, I saw this on Alibaba, I saw this on Amazon, can you please source it for me? Then we can do that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So there's hope that one day in Botswana we'll have a juggernaut comparable to these two in this space.
Definitely, sir.
Okay.
Because the only thing stopping us right now is it's the borders. Because what we want to establish is not just importing, but as well exporting. Because the major problem with Botswana businesses going out is logistics. I've seen that logistics is the major challenge, because you find that you can have interest from a customer in Zambia, but you wouldn't know how to take it there. Most of the couriers that are available, they're already expensive. So you find that it's not worth it to take your goods there, because the minute you put or add the cost of couriering the goods there, it will make your product expensive. So we want to come in with a cheaper price of offering logistics, so that people in Botswana can export their goods as well.
Yes. And there might be a young Motswana there, perhaps a student in exactly the same position you were some years ago, wondering about this business in terms of the landscape of entrepreneurship and e-commerce.
Yes, sir.
What advice would you share with such a person?
Well, one thing I would say, I mean, e-commerce.
Feel free to look at the camera and look at that young man.
Okay. One thing I would say is that, I mean, e-commerce is the next big thing. I mean, the sky is the limit with e-commerce. You're not limited. You can go to any country and provide, I mean, you're not basically limited. You can access any country. You know, with e-commerce, yeah, the challenges are there, but once you start, you get to realize that it's actually exciting, because you're running a business that can be available at any time for you to run. You can run it at night, you can run it during the day. You choose how to run it, because there's no time difference in e-commerce. You can access someone in China from anywhere in the world. So I would definitely tell someone that they should just start. The first thing is just starting. Once you start, I mean, there's no stopping. So.
This is the part of the show. Thank you. That is good.
Yes, sir.
This is a part of the show where you can get to ask me, as the host, any question you want. There's a new thing that we've added to the show. So any question you want to ask me as the host of this show, feel free.
Okay. The one question I'd like to ask is, what made you, or what inspired you to start Wisdom of Nuggets?
Nuggets of Wisdom.
Yes, sir.
Well, it started with me being invited to share some of my experiences with different audiences. First, there was Project 241, I think, 124. Yeah, that, and then there was the Founders Dinner, and then there was Youth Alive. They kept inviting me. Every time after I finished talking, people want me to mentor them, to share my experiences with them.
Yes, sir.
So I thought about it, that what is the best way to reach the widest audience, and not for people to learn not just from me, but also from brilliant entrepreneurs who are out there, such as yourself.
Thank you.
So I came up with this idea because I was piggybacking on our experience at Meet the Overcomers, because I'm the founder of Meet the Overcomers program on Juma FM, which has been running now for 13 years. So using that as a template, I then look, why don't I move into the video space, the visual space, and then share these experiences with people? Because even with MTO, Meet the Overcomers, I've had so many people come to me saying how it has inspired them, how it has impacted them. So this was a further step, as it were, towards giving back, towards sharing. Like we say, we enthuse, we energize, we empower, and we inspire entrepreneurs. That's what we are about. So that is the real reason.
I definitely love the show, and you know, I've been to the Founders Dinner, and I really learned a lot, because it's nice when another businessman or an entrepreneur tells you their struggle. You get to see that, okay, you know, in business, struggle is just part of it, and you can definitely overcome it. Because at most times we get discouraged as we're doing business, because we have this excitement of thinking that it's gonna just be perfect all the way
Smooth
through.
sailing.
Smooth sailing. But then you get to see that no.
It's anything but.
Exactly.
All right. Do you mind sharing your contact details with the listener in terms of on social media and even your phone numbers, etc.? Go ahead.
Okay, I founded 2 businesses. They're called Plenty Picks, BW. You can find it on Facebook and Instagram. And then there's also Pick and Ship It, which is also on Facebook and Instagram. If you ever wish to contact me, you can catch me on 75305-704. Those are my numbers, 75305-704.
All right. As we part, let me take this opportunity to recognize you, to thank you,
Yes, sir.
and to applaud your efforts. Keep up the good work,
Yes, sir.
maintain the momentum, and reach for greater heights.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.